Chapter 3. The Visionary Teacher and Scientist. Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. Goethe. The great minds of the country had the ability to make others join their endeavor to convert dreams into reality. For them, the nation was bigger than themselves and they could draw thousands to act upon their dreams. In December 2000, I had participated in the birth centenary celebrations of Adhyapaka Ratna T. Tottadri Iyengar. I graduated in science from St. Joseph's College, Tiruchirappalli, 1954. As a young student, I saw Prophet T. Tottadri Iyengar, a unique, divine-looking personality, walking through the college campus every morning and teaching mathematics to the students of B.C. Honors and M.C. The students looked at him with awe as one would at a guru, which indeed he was. When he walked, knowledge radiated all around. At that time, Calculus Srinivasan was my mathematics teacher. He used to talk about Prof. Tottadri Iyengar with deep respect and would organize integrated classes for first-year B.Sc. Honors and first-year B.Sc. Physics to be taught by him. I also had the opportunity to attend some of these classes, particularly on the subjects of modern algebra and statistics. When we were in first-year B.Sc, Calculus Srinivasan used to pick the top 10 students as members of the Mathematics Club of St. Joseph's, where Prof. Tottadri Iyengar used to give a lecture series. One day, in 1952, he gave a lecture on ancient mathematicians and astronomers of India. He spoke for nearly 1 hour. The lecture still rings in my ears. Let me share with you my thoughts about some ancient mathematicians, glimpses of whom I saw in Prof. Tottadri Iyengar in my own way. Aryabhata, born in AD 476 in Kusumapura, now called Patna, was an astronomer and mathematician. He was reputed to be a repository of all the mathematical knowledge known at that point of time. He was only 23 years old when he wrote Aryabhatayam in 2 parts. The text covers arithmetic, algebra, and trigonometry, and of course, astronomy. He gave formulae for the areas of a triangle and a circle, and attempted to give the volumes of a sphere and a pyramid. He was the first to give an approximation to pi as the ratio of a circle's circumference and diameter, arriving at the value of 3.1416. To celebrate this great astronomer, India named its first satellite launched in 1975 Aryabhata. Brahmagupta was born in AD 598 at Bilyamala, in Rajasthan in the empire of Harsha. He wrote the Brahmasputa Siddhanta at the age of 30. He updated works of astronomy. He covered progressions and geometry. He also studied and gave what is known as the solution of indeterminate equations of different degrees as well as solutions to quadratic equations. Bhaskaracharya was another unique intellectual of his time. He was born in AD 1114 at Vijalbada, located at what is now the border of Karnataka and IGINITED, Maharashtra. He wrote the famous Siddhanta Siromani in 4 chapters. He dealt with astronomy and algebra and is known to be the first recognized mathematician who evolved value to 0 from the concept based on Aryabhata's discovery. To honor him, ISRO's second series of satellites was named Bhaskara 1 and 2, 1979 and 1981. The work of these 3 mathematicians of India provides the context of Albert Einstein's remark that we owe a lot to the Indians who taught us how to count, without which no worthwhile scientific discovery could have been made. Then comes to my mind the greatest of all geniuses ever known and acknowledged, and who lived within our present memory, Srinivasa Ramanujan. He lived only for 33 years, 1887 to 1920, and had no practical formal education or means of living. Yet his inexhaustible spirit and love for his subject enabled him to make a vast contribution to mathematical research, and some of his contributions are still under serious study, engaging the efforts of mathematicians to establish formal proofs. Ramanujan was a unique Indian genius who could melt the heart of as rigorous a mathematician as Prof. G. H. Hardy of Trinity College, Cambridge. In fact, it is not an exaggeration to say that it was Hardy who discovered Ramanujan for the world. Why do not our reputed scientists locate another Ramanujan in our schools? Oh, my friends, why don't you in every field integrate and grow instead of differentiating? Every integer is a personal friend of Ramanujan, one of the tributes to Ramanujan said. And it was no exaggeration. Prof. Hardy, while rating geniuses on a scale of 100, put most of them in the range of around 30, giving a rating of 60 to the rare exception. However, for Ramanujan, he suggested, only the value of 100 would fit. There can be no better tribute to either Ramanujan or to the Indian heritage. Ramanujan's work covers vast areas including prime numbers, hypergeometric series, modular functions, elliptic functions, Mach theta functions, even magic squares. Apart from some serious work on the geometry of ellipses, squaring the circle and so on, I hope that eminent teachers who teach and inspire the young students of mathematics will continue their unmatched and noble services in the years to come, thus ensuring the march of Indian brilliance in this field. Prof. S. Chandrasekhar, the astrophysicist, continued the Indian mathematics tradition in his work abroad. Of course, mathematics is universal. Now the tradition will further blossom with the efforts of Prof. C.S. Seshadri, Prof. J.V. Narlikar, Prof. M.S. Narasimhan, Prof. S.R.S. Varadan, Prof. M.S. Raghunathan, Prof. Narendra Karmakar, and Prof. Ashok Sen, among others. Sir C.V. Raman started his career in the office of the Accountant General Calcutta. But the scientist in him would not let him rest, and he was always probing for answers to some of the problems that interested him. Fortunately, he was supported by the great educationist Ashutosh Mukherjee, who encouraged Sir C.V. Raman to pursue his research. It is noteworthy that the Raman effect, the discovery of which brought him the Nobel Prize, did not come out of a grand establishment set up at vast expense. I believe the urge to show to the world the excellence of Indian minds would have been a major motivating factor for Sir C.V. Raman. The same is the case with Prof. S. Chandrasekhar, also a Nobel laureate for his work on black holes. There are some interesting statements in his biography Chandra by Kameshwar C. Wali. As it points out, Chandra grew up in what was a golden age for science, art, and literature in India, spurred on partly by the struggle for independence. J.C. Bose, C.V. Raman, Meghnad Saha, Srinivasa Ramanujan, and Rabindranath Tagore, by their achievements in scientific and creative endeavors, became national heroes, along with Jawaharlal Nehru, Mahatma Gandhi, and a host of others. Possibly, their great success helped produce an atmosphere of creativity. Howsoever it may be, it is worth noting, as Chandrasekhar observed, that in the modern era before 1910, there were no Indian scientists of international reputation or standing. Between 1920 and 1925, we had suddenly 5 or 6 internationally well-known men. I myself have associated this remarkable phenomenon with the need for self-expression, which became a dominant motive among the young during the national movement. It was a part of the national movement to assert oneself. India was a subject country, but particularly in science, we could show the West in their own realm that we were equal to them. Here I would like to quote Sir C.V. Raman, who said in 1969 while addressing young graduates, "I would like to tell the young men and women before me not to lose hope and courage. Success can only come to you by courageous devotion to the task lying in front of you. I can assert without fear of contradiction that the quality of the Indian mind is equal to the quality of any Teutonic, Nordic, or Anglo-Saxon mind. What we lack is perhaps courage. What we lack is perhaps driving force, which takes one anywhere. We have, I think, developed an inferiority complex. I think what is needed in India today is the destruction of that defeatist spirit. We need a spirit of victory, a spirit that will carry us to our rightful place under the sun, a spirit which can recognize that we, as inheritors of a proud civilization, are entitled to our rightful place on this planet. If that indomitable spirit were to arise, nothing can hold us from achieving our rightful destiny." Further afield, there was similarly the emergence of others who were great in their respective fields. Interestingly, a music trinity of great saints, Tyagaraja Swamigal, Muthuswami Dikshidhar, and Shyama Sastrigal, also emerged at the same time in South India, within a 50-kilometer radius. What we should note is that the movement for independence generated the best of leaders in arts, science, technology, economics, history, and literature who stand with the best in the world. In more recent times, too, we have seen the emergence of great visionary scientists. Particularly, I was interested in the lives of three scientists, Dr. D.S. Kothari, Dr. Homi J. Bhabha, and Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. I wanted to learn more about their leadership qualities in the scientific and technological fields, which helped link these to the development of the nation. They are the founders of three great institutions: DRDO, DA, ISRO. Dr. D.S. Kothari, a professor at Delhi University, was an outstanding physicist and astrophysicist. He is well known for ionization of matter by pressure in cold compact objects like planets. This theory is complementary to the epoch-making theory of thermal ionization of his guru, Dr. Meghnad Saha. Dr. D.S. Kothari set a scientific tradition in Indian defense tasks when he became scientific advisor to Defense Minister in 1948. The first thing he did was to establish the Defense Science Center to do research in electronic materials, nuclear medicine, and ballistic science. He is considered the architect of defense science in India. We are celebrating this great mind through a research chair at the Indian Institute of Science. Dr. Bhabha did research in theoretical physics at Cambridge University. From 1930 to 1939, Homi Bhabha carried out research relating to cosmic radiation. In 1939, he joined Sir C.V. Raman at IISc Bangalore. Later, he founded the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research with focus on nuclear and mathematical sciences. He established the Atomic Energy Commission in 1948. His vision led to the setting up of numerous centers in the field of nuclear science and technology, such as those for producing nuclear power, or for research in nuclear medicine. These science institutions generated further technological centers, keeping nuclear science as the vital component. Dr. Sarabhai, the youngest of the three, had worked with Sir C.V. Raman in experimental cosmic rays. He established the Physical Research Laboratory at Ahmedabad, with space research as the focus. In 1963, Thumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station, THOUGHT, began launching sounding rockets for atmospheric research. Dr. Sarabhai established the Space Science Technology Center, SSTC, and was its director. His vision led to the establishment of ILRO, with its allied centers responsible for development of launch vehicles, satellites, mission management, and applications. These three Indian scientists, all of them physicists, started physics research, institutions that blossomed into defense technology, nuclear technology, and space technology, which now employ 20,000 scientists in centers spread around the country. One thing I noted was that all three realized the importance of making the political leadership understand what science could do for the country. It is essential that technologies that give immediate benefits to the people be taken up for implementation by the system, regardless of which party is in power. Another important message conveyed by these scientists is that basic science is vital for growth of technology and for developing new leaders in science. Let us learn from them the proven qualities of leadership to value science and technology in an integrated way. In 1962, Dr. Sarabhai and Dr. Bhabha were looking for a site to establish the Space Research Station in the equatorial region. Thumba, in Kerala, was found most suitable as it was near the equatorial region and was ideally suited for ionospheric research. The locality, however, was inhabited by thousands of fishermen living in the villages there. It also had a beautiful church called St. Mary Magdalene Church and the bishop's house. As such, the acquisition of the land did not move any further. Dr. Sarabhai met the bishop, His Excellency Reverend Dr. Peter Bernard Pereira, on a Saturday and requested transfer of the property. The bishop smiled and asked him to meet him the next day. In the Sunday morning service, the bishop told the congregation, "My children, I have a famous scientist with me who wants our church and the place I live for the work of space science and research. Science seeks truth that enriches human life. The higher level of religion is spirituality. The spiritual preachers seek the help of the Almighty to bring peace to human minds. In short, What Vikram is doing and what I am doing are the same. Both science and spirituality seek the Almighty's blessings for human prosperity in mind and body. Children, can we give them God's abode for a scientific mission? There was silence for a while, followed by a hearty amen from the congregation which made the whole church reverberate. It was indeed a great experience working with Dr. Sarabhai from 1963 to 1971. As a young engineer engaged in the tasks of composite technology, explosive systems, and rocket engineering systems at the Thiruvananthapuram Space Center, I drew tremendous energy from his leadership. Though the nation was in its technological infancy, Dr. Sarabhai was dreaming of developing our own satellite launch vehicles. These would be used to launch from Indian soil remote sensing satellites in sun-synchronous orbit and communication satellites in geosynchronous orbit. Today, his vision is almost realized with the launch of the Geosynchronous Launch Vehicle, GSLV. ISRO has also operationalized the IRS and INSAT systems, thereby bringing the benefits of space to the common man. There is an experience I would like to share with you in relation to Dr. Sarabhai's vision for space programs. I wrote briefly in Wings of Fire about this episode. The design project of India's first satellite launch vehicle, SLV-3, was taken up at the Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, VSSC. The design of each stage of rocket, heat shield, and guidance system was given to selected project leaders. I was given the design project of the fourth stage of SLV-3, that is, the upper stage rocket, which would give the final velocity to put Rohini into orbit. This fourth stage uses an advanced composite material that provides high strength with minimum weight. It also has maximum loading of high energy, solid propellant. While we were developing the design of this upper stage in 1970, I received a call from Dr. Sarabhai from Ahmedabad, stating that he would be visiting Thiruvananthapuram along with Prof. Hubert Kurian, chairman of CNES, the French space agency. I was asked to give a presentation about the fourth stage to Prof. Kurian's team. When the presentation was over, we realized that the SLV-3 fourth stage was also being considered as upper stage for the IC, French Diamant P4 launch vehicle. The CNES needed an apogee rocket motor, nearly double the propellant weight and also size of the stage that we had designed. A decision was then taken in the same meeting that the fourth stage should be reconfigured to match and suit both Diamant P4 and SLV-3. I mention this episode because at the time this decision was taken, we ourselves were in the design stage. Such was Dr. Sarabhai's confidence in the Indian scientific community. Development work on this stage started ahead of the other stages of SLV-3. With our motivation thus boosted, work proceeded in full swing. A series of reviews took place between the two teams, and the fourth stage graduated from drawing board to developing stage. Unfortunately, in 1971, Dr. Sarabhai passed away, and at the same time the French government called off the Diamant P4 program. Once the fourth stage was developed and a series of tests was going on, a new requirement appeared on the horizon, in the form of India building a small communication satellite to be launched by the European Ariane launch vehicle. For the Apple Ariane passenger payload experiment communication satellite, the SLV-3 fourth stage proved a perfect fit, and it was included in the payload of the Ariane launch in 1981 from Kourou, French Guiana. The vision seeded in 1970 by Dr. Vikram Sarabhai was indeed realized when Apple was placed in geostationary orbit and started communicating with our Earth stations. Apple's success proved that a vision with committed scientific support will achieve its aim. This achievement came as a fantastic fillip to the rocket technologists in the country. The visionary may not be with us today, but his vision gets realized. The dream of Dr. Sarabhai was shaped into reality by Prof. Satish Dhawan. After he took charge of ISRO from 1972, Prof. Dhawan structured and nurtured ISRO with a space profile, and his work led to many significant accomplishments and benefits from a number of remote sensing and communication satellites. The Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle accomplished the feat of launching multiple satellites for India and other countries, injecting them in different orbits in a single mission. I learned an important lesson in management from Professor Dhawan when I was appointed Project Director SLV-3 in 1972 to design, develop, and launch the first satellite launch vehicle to inject Rohini into near-Earth orbit. This was that when a project director is appointed, the whole organization, including the chairman ISRO, works for his success. It is a lesson that has been of abiding value all through the other projects I have worked on. The other thing I have learned after more than 40 years of working in 3 departments in various projects and programs is that you will succeed as a project leader as long as you remember that the project is bigger than you. Wherever the project leader tries to make himself out to be bigger than the project, the enterprise suffers. I recall my working at ISRO headquarters, Bangalore, as Director, Launch Vehicle Programs Systems in the early 1980s, when we were debating the performance and cost-effectiveness of launch vehicles. In 1981, the scientists of VSSC Thiruvananthapuram, with the help of other ISRO centers, evolved a configuration of the PSLV core vehicle with 2 large strap-on boosters. The PSLV weighed about 400 tons at takeoff. Professor Dhawan wanted to study an alternative and simple configuration. I and some of my colleagues, A. Sivathanu Pillai, N. Sundararajan, and K. Padmanabha Menon, carried out mission, technology, and feasibility studies for the optimal configuration. The team designed several options, including a unique core vehicle with an advanced solid propellant booster, using first-stage rockets of SLV-3 as strap-ons. This brought the PSLV weight down to only about 275 tons at takeoff. Professor Dhawan used to come almost daily to my small room, which was close to his office, and debate the possible configuration choice. He was himself a foremost aerodynamic specialist with mathematics and system engineering background, and would illustrate his ideas on the blackboard and ask us to do more homework. We also studied the growth opportunities of PSLV with cryogenic upper stage as a GSLV and the possibility of launching due east geosynchronous missions. Professor Dhawan put the 2 most favored configurations up for discussion among the experts and the ISRO teams. Detailed examination and debate, taking the long-term plans into account, took place, and they chose the PSLV configuration as proposed by my launch vehicle team. Professor Dhawan considered the future scenario of operationalization of PSLV and GSLV, bearing in mind the satellites and application programs, and decided on this unique configuration and evolved the roadmap for ISRO for the next 15 years. I and Professor Narasimha brought out a book, Development in Fluid Mechanics and Space Technology, with Prof. Dhawan's handwritten 15-year space profile, based on the chosen PSLV configuration. A memorable day for me is the 31st of May 1982. Prof. Dhawan gave me a send-off in an unconventional way. He called an ISRO council meeting to discuss the future launch vehicle program. I made a presentation to the directors of the ISRO centers on performance and cost-effectiveness of our launch vehicles and the growth profile. After the presentation, Professor Dhawan broke the news that he had given me to DRDO. This decision indeed gave me a change that led to progress in a different field. We see today self-reliance in launch vehicle technology with PSLV operational and GSLV getting ready to be operationalized. This is close to the direction envisaged in the early 1980s by Professor Dhawan. The recognition of ISRO as a successful organization was due to the strong foundation and space profile envisioned by him. One test of leadership is also how well successors are able to carry forward a program. At ISRO, Professor U.R. Rao and Dr. K. Kasturirangan brought further success and glory to the organization. After his retirement, Professor Dhawan continued as a member of the Space Commission, and in that capacity continued to help the organization which he built. Remarkably, Professor Dhawan saw the space missions envisioned by him come into being in his lifetime. He also saw in his lifetime many of those he had tutored emerge as strong technology leaders themselves who have contributed immeasurably to the country. What a great personality he was. After joining the DRDO, I started the missile development program there. During the Integrated Guided Missile Development Program, IGMDP, the focus was to design missiles with state-of-the-art performance at the time of deployment. The surface-to-surface missile, Prithvi, became the best in its class, and users delight with its high accuracy, reliable performance, and the maneuverable trajectories. The first stage of SLV-3 became handy to configure Agni as a long-range deterrent. It blossomed from the REX Re-Entry Experiment Program conceived by my team in 1981. Both Prithvi and Agni are in production and induction phase. Trishul, which is a surface-to-air missile, and Akash, once development is complete, will be contemporary missiles. The third-generation anti-tank Nag will dominate as one of the best such missiles. In any aerospace or missile development program, delays are possible owing to the technical complexity of the work. But this should not deter us. The propaganda of foreign sellers and their associates in India should not dictate India's procurement decisions. My experience in dealing with the network of institutions that has been established is that our country has tremendous potential to develop the best technologies in this field. India could combat the MTCR very effectively, thereby proving to those who wanted us to fail that we can do it. Once we had developed competence in the design of missile systems, I looked beyond the IGMDP. The natural course of action appeared to be the supersonic cruise missile, which is essential in tactical warfare. Many countries have cruise missiles, but they fly at subsonic speed. Our association with one of the Russian institutes, NPO Mashinostroyenia, developed into a partnership in the joint design and development of supersonic cruise missile system. This partnership is based upon friendship and equal competencies. I recall my association with Dr. H.A. Yefremov, Director General of NPO Mashinostroyenia, an outstanding scientist of our time, who had developed 7 types of cruise missiles and inducted the systems in the Russian Navy. Creating a joint venture between India and Russia in high-technology projects in the prevailing situation in the 1990s became a complex question and a challenge to both Dr. Yefremov and me. Whenever I met Dr. Yefremov, I got the feeling of meeting a great scientist like Prof. Satish Dhawan or Dr. Werner von Braun, the father of rocketry. Dr. Yefremov took me to his technology centers, which are not normally shown to any foreigner. He truly treated me as a friend and arranged an Indian lunch in his laboratory. I took him to the research center, Imarat, an advanced missile technology center at Hyderabad. He was genuinely pleased to see the strides we had made. Our scientific minds merged, and our friendship blossomed. We christened the joint venture as BrahMos, a combination of the names of 2 rivers, the Brahmaputra and the Moscow. Sivathanu Pillai, Ramanathan, Venugopalan, and Vice Admiral Bharat Bhushan, along with the Russian specialists, gave shape to the joint venture. Sivathanu Pillai was the natural choice as the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of the joint venture, concurrently holding charge in DRDO as Chief Controller R&D for missiles. The dual role, an exceptional decision of the government, was essential to ensure the success of this venture. Venugopalan, an outstanding propulsion scientist from the Defense Research Development Laboratory, DRDL, became the project director. A new kind of joint venture came into existence, one which bridged the scientific community and industry of the 2 countries in design, development, production, and marketing of an advanced technology weapon. It was a source of great joy for me, as it was for the 2 teams. The first flight of BrahMos on the 12th of June 2001 from the interim test range, Chandipur, was a milestone signaling the progress of the joint venture. The second flight, on the 28th of April 2002, confirmed the results of the first and came as a great encouragement to our effort. Dr. Yefremov and I are glad that both India and Russia have realized that this joint venture is the right way to bridge 2 friendly nations for building high-technology weapon systems that could enter the world market. My dream of marketing an advanced weapons system ahead of the so-called developed countries will come true through BrahMos. Even though I am away from the scene, the team that I built has performed creditably. I am happy. I read a book titled An Unfinished Dream by the Milkman of India, Dr. Verghese Kurian. He says in the book, "It was by chance that I became a dairyman. But a British expert's criticism, the sewer water of London is bacteriologically superior to the milk of Bombay, served as a challenge to the young Korean, who has taken dairying from strength to strength over the decades, so that today India is a front ranker in milk production. On a visit to Anand, I had the opportunity to spend a day with him. As I went around the Amul establishment, I saw value addition at work. From milk, the cooperative has branched off to making numerous derivatives, including butter, cheese, and ice cream. These initiatives have given it the strength to be a major player in a highly competitive market. When I asked him what, in his view, was one sure way of launching the country on a growth trajectory, his answer was, "You must build on the resources represented by our young professionals and by our nation's farmers. Without their involvement, we cannot succeed. With their involvement, we cannot fail." While talking about scientists, I recall my meeting with a medical specialist, Preface Kakarla Subba Rao, at the Indo-American Cancer Institute at Hyderabad. I asked him if cancer was some unmitigated curse. "Yes and no," said the 77-year-old Albert Einstein professor of radiology. "Yes, because we genetically inherit certain traits which make us vulnerable to cancer. No, because whether we get it or escape it depends largely on our immune response." Research into how the brain can influence immune response has given rise to the new field called psychoneuroimmunology, PNI. Findings in this field have brought great hope to people dealing with such difficult illnesses as cancer, AIDS, CFIDs, chronic fatigue immune dysfunction syndrome, and other immune system-related diseases. Other fields of research include psychoneurocardiology, PNC, the study of the mind-heart connection, or psychoneurohematology, PNH, the study of how the mind can influence blood-related disorders such as clotting problems and hemophilia. Such is the power of thought. These are diseases which normally require intensive treatment. But even here, medicine acknowledges that our minds can play a major role. Summary. Vision ignites the minds. India needs visionaries of the stature of J.R.D. Tata, Vikram Sarabhai, Satish Dhawan, and Dr. Verghese Kurian, to name a few, who can involve an entire generation in mission-driven programs which benefit the country as a whole. If you guys want to read chapter-wise, then playlist link is given in description. And for new book, subscribe our channel. We provide best audiobooks with HD quality sound in different languages. If you want any best audiobook, then please comment me. I will try to answer you and make audiobook according to your choice. Thanks.